So when I was listening to Godfather by Wiley last year, not at one point did I think to myself, hey, these songs could really do with some badly sung hooks. So Wiley, of course, is a UK grime rapper who has been on the scene for years, over a decade, I believe, at this point. Well over a decade, actually. He broke out onto the scene during the time Dizzy Rascal broke out, and grime started to see a huge growth, and slowly and slowly and slowly with time, it managed to break into the mainstream, and now we're at a point where last year, perhaps one of the biggest songs to break out and become a bit of a meme was a grime song, Man's Not Hot by Big Shaq. Mostly a comedy grime song, for sure, but it did actually just break out and just get huge. I mean, it broke out over even into the US, so fuck man, it got big. But also titling your album Godfather leaves a pretty obvious and easy open door to release a sequel. Of course, there was a trilogy of films, Godfather Part 1, 2 and 3, and here we have The Godfather Part 2 by Wiley, and this was an album that got pushed back fucking 80 times. I swear this album was meant to be out in January, then wasn't it like meant to be like near the end of March, and then wasn't it, I'm sure I saw it get like a date announced to be April 13th, but here we are right at the end of April. This album has finally come out, and just like with that Kimbra album, an album that generally gets pushed back as much as it doesn't live up to what it could have been. And usually I don't know the reasons as to why albums get pushed back. It's never really a thing that gets announced or gets pushed to the surface. I'm sure artists just kind of keep it on the down low, but it just seems usually that it's because of issues with the music, or they want to rewrite things, or the label has problems too. And I shouldn't even be that surprised that this is probably going to go down as one of the most disappointing albums. Disappointing of the year. Like, are you kidding me, Wiley? Are you kidding me? This is what you got? This is what you gave us? Fuck, man, like, this is so average. Like, even grime fans, I think, will listen to this and think it's average. Stormzy fans, however, will take something from this, I can guarantee, because a lot of these tracks are very similar to what was on Stormzy's debut album. But grime fans, they ain't taking much away from this. The album essentially tricks you because the first half of the album is straight up grime bangers. I mean, the opening track is a weird track because it ends so abruptly, and every time it does, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's the end of the track. Like, well, what was the even point of that? But from like tracks 2 to 5-ish, we do get grimy bangers. And even for grimy bangers, these aren't really that exciting. Like, you would expect something, but I don't really feel like Wiley's saying a huge amount on these tracks. He's generally just bragging, just like he was in Godfather, but it came across as a really, like, energetic, just sort of, like, pummeling way on Godfather that was just like, man, this guy is just going off and off and off, and I'm just buying everything he says. Whereas on Godfather 2, I feel like he's just not got the same amount of ideas, not got the same amount of charisma. Not even charisma, just that sort of urgency to write a good lyric that he knows will stick the landing, but I feel like not many of these ones do. And I know one flaw to Godfather, Buffalo Staple, I know this is you that said this, yes, Buffalo Staple. Screw you, Buffalo Staple. The Godfather was good. But yeah, the criticism was that the bangers weren't very cleanly done. Like, some of the beats were way over the top, way just like too much going on. And I feel like it just added so much to what Wiley was trying to do. So already you've got a few tracks at the start of the album that aren't as exciting as Godfather. And then in the second half, we just trail off into all these pop-inspired R&B blah. It's like there's never really a high point, and it just really lets you down because it's like, oh shit, he's really not sticking to a good sound this time, like at all. Those guest features honestly just ruin the tracks, and even though they aren't very good, the tracks themselves don't even sound that good anyway. So it's not like, I mean, saying that they ruin the tracks is harsh on them, honestly, because the tracks weren't good to begin with. So it's like they're not really adding anything to the tracks, but they're also taking away from the fact that Wiley could be doing actual great grime songs. This was a massive issue with Stormzy's album. I mentioned this so much when the Stormzy album came out because it got so much critical acclaim and so much buzz, and it was so average. Like, it was not even grime. And even though you could say, well, there's R&B stuff on the album, it's a mixture of both, like, the R&B was average too. And it's just the same with this album. Like I said, it tricks you into thinking that it's going to be grime, and then the second half tricks you into thinking that it's supposed to be these really like vibey R&B tracks that are, you know, smooth and kind of hip or like trendy to today's sound, but they're just so, again, they're just not even up to par with what they should be if they're going for that sound. Yeah, I just feel like the more I think about this album, the more I get disappointed, and I don't even know if I want to continue talking about it because it's just such a disappointing sequel, honestly. Like, again, I know that like maybe he's trying to venture out and he doesn't want to just be grime, you know, the whole time, but he did this already years ago and that didn't sound too great either. I feel like this album's just one big miss because even the first half isn't that exciting and then the second half gets worse, so I don't know. It's not bad music for sure. Like, I don't think anything on here can be like just labeled as outright terrible. I think the song "Crash." I don't know the vocalist because she's not credited on the track listing, but I actually think she sounds great on the chorus. I think she adds quite a lot of momentum to that track. It's a shame she's not credited though because she's probably the best guest feature. And that's really about it in the second half. In the first half, again, a few decent bangers, but they don't sound as good as what they have done before. He's very good at making dirty grime bangers, but the ones on this album, the very few that show up, don't sound anywhere near as good. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a D. Very average album, very disappointing, and that's about it. Let me know your thoughts if you've heard this. Let me know your thoughts on the first Godfather too. I know a lot of people love that one. And yeah, subscribe to the channel for more reviews, comment below and all that stuff. Let me know what I need to review and tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. Tell me. And have a good day. Have a good day. Heatwave. Heatwave.